Glad you're all joining us. We're going to be talking about reimagining measurement in a first-party data world. I've got a really exciting panel with me here. I've got Ben from Game Changer, I've got Marco from Adora, and I've got Matt from TikTok. So we're just going to hop into a conversation. Let's talk through how first-party data is kind of changing that measurement game. Before we get there, let's do some quick introductions. Ben?
Sure. Ben Boker, Director of Advertising for Game Changer. We're fully owned by Dick's Sporting Goods, and for those of you who haven't heard of us before, we are the home of youth live sports. So parents, friends, family can follow their kids that are playing basketball, baseball, and softball and not miss a single moment of action. It's used for scoring, it's used for live coverage, and we got all kinds of features, and people are living on this app all weekend long.
I'm excited about that. That's awesome. Marco Matos, CEO of Adora. Two things about me. One, born and raised in the Big Apple, native New Yorker. So personal thanks to our host at Imperity for scheduling this during the most electric time for New York sports. Rangers and Knicks in 6, I promise. Second thing about me, if you've worked with Imperity, you've likely heard the phrase, better data, better results. And I'm an absolute believer about it. And so much so, it's a core premise of what we're building at Adora. We are pioneering the way to activate first-party data to basically revolutionize how you could deliver, generate, and drive personalized advertising solely for the goal of driving economic business value. Now, why do I have any context in being able to do that? For the last 12 years, I've held various product leadership positions across your favorite walled gardens, Facebook, Google, Pinterest. Please don't hurt me on the way out. But seriously, my background's in ads, measurement, analytics, and pretty much everything around optimization. So really excited to provide an interesting point of view on this panel with these lovely gentlemen.
All right, Marco, can't wait for you to join TikTok one of these days. Hi, everybody. My name is Matt Saban. I'm on the marketing sciences measurement team at TikTok. I lead our measurement practices for our retail and dining verticals. And I've been at TikTok for a little over 4 years now, so I've definitely seen a lot. For those of you that might not know what TikTok is or what a TikTok is, there are some of those people out there. TikTok is an exciting platform that specializes in short-form video. It's powered by a diverse community of creators, and it's a place where commerce and entertainment seamlessly converge. And my job at TikTok is really building out our measurement solutions and our measurement best practices together with my retail partners and various retail media networks to show exactly how TikTok works and to drive commerce everywhere and drive the best business outcomes for our customers.
And I was told that if we want to follow up and learn a little more about measurement, maybe I could follow somebody on TikTok. What's that handle?
Oh, no. If you want to learn a little bit more about measurement, you can always follow my handle at Sabanban, Sabbanban, on TikTok.
I'm a follower.
It's good content.
I don't use TikTok, but. All right, so obviously a lot of experience sitting up here on stage. We've talked a lot about the erosion of the cookie today. We know there's a lot of kind of threats to this measurement space, and there's also kind of a lot of opportunities. So how do you see this space kind of evolving, maybe in the near term? Matt, let's kind of start with you.
Sure. I mean, getting straight to the point here.
Yeah.
There are a lot of changes that are happening in the industry right now. And, in my measurement career, it's never been harder to do good measurement with all of these changes. At the same time, it's never been a more exciting time to be a measurement detective. So I said earlier that part of my job at TikTok is to prove that TikTok works and that it drives commerce everywhere for our retail partners. And I partner with a lot of advertisers on various measurement solutions that they use to prove their business outcomes. That could be, brand lift studies, store visits, sales lift, conversion lift, media mix modeling, you name it. There is a measurement solution for everyone. But what I'm finding with a lot of these industry changes that are happening is that there are pronounced gaps for every measurement solution. There is no one measurement solution to rule them all. So to me, good measurement is about agreement. the best advertisers use more than one measurement solution, and they marry these measurement solutions with their first-party data, so they really understand what is and what isn't working. And for a media campaign that you run, if all three solutions or tools are saying the same thing, that hey, your campaign is driving sales, then you probably know that you're in a good spot.
Marco?
Oh boy, I have so many hot takes on this topic. I think everything you said is accurate, right? It's about agreement, but frankly, measurement is actually driven by data. So if you think about the last 10 years, we've given data to the largest technology companies and said, optimize, measure, you handle it. And whether you like that or not, you just simply can't do that with the same fidelity and conversion visibility. So if you think about the future of measurement and what's mostly changing, the needs of data or not, it's where the data sits. And this is why I think first-party data is going to be absolutely the de facto measurement source of truth. So yes, agreement, but stop me if you've heard this one. You're sitting down at a QBR and it says, ad platform X. Facebook says I drove 10 sales. Google says you drove 8 sales. Another one says you drove 6 sales. And then you look in your CRM, you're like, wait a second, I only have 11 sales, like WTF. And to me, the thing that matters the most, it's not clicks, it's not views, it's what's driving business value. You have that. That's what's sitting inside of your data warehouse, and that's the thing that's got to drive measurement. That's the full premise of Adora. How do we measure and attribute all of your success across all the channels based on what's actually driving sales? I think that's just going to become the standard in the future, and good job, Imperity. You're sort of built on top of it.
Right on. Ben, anything to add?
Yeah, measurement is shifting to where data is. So what I would say, like from a Game Changer perspective, we are part of the Dix Media Network. If you think about Game Changer is a place that's an entertainment platform, but because we're fully owned by Dick's Sporting Goods, we also sit on this really valuable data set with purchase data. Gone are the days of just relying on click-through rates and last click, and there's some companies and platforms that can do that really well, but what we're thinking about is like, how do you take someone from awareness to consideration and then figure out in the next month, did they actually buy? So we're putting that together with the help of Imperity by understanding the exposure data that we're serving with our own ad server, and then tying that back to conversion, and then optimizing over time. So there's a lot of companies that are thinking about this on the brand side, on the platform side, but where the data is where the energy in the industry is going in terms of measurement.
It sounds pretty good for Amperity. I like it. So you said where the data is, it's where we're going. Let's talk about that foundational data asset. Let's talk about how that's necessary from a measurement perspective. Ben, you guys use the Amperity ID in a really unique way with the Athlete ID. Can you talk a little bit about how that's helping kind of set us up for this new era of measurement from a Game Changer perspective?
Sure. So if you think about Game Changer, our users are the same people that are shopping at Dick's Sporting Goods. But if you think about the user journey, or the athlete journey, is what we like to say at Dick's Sporting Goods, it's someone that's shopping in store, that's going online, going to Golf Galaxy, that's part of our portfolio, and then on Game Changer. So it's really important that we have all these different touch points, understanding how we string that together and bring that into one identifier. So working with Imperity, we have Athlete ID, and that makes sure that we can understand the athlete or the user journey across all these different platforms that we own. Identity is really, really important. Without identity, you can't do all this really fun stuff like conversion attribution, optimization, targeting, all the really fun, cool stuff.
Right on. Matt, does that kind of jive with what you're seeing at TikTok? I know, with the events API, some of these things, we're starting to see a world where being able to unify that data asset from a first-party perspective and then leverage it with those with platforms like TikTok is really going to be kind of a game changer. But yeah, talk to me a little bit about that.
Totally planned that,
yeah.
by the way.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with that completely. I will say that data is what drives performance. And what I've seen with advertisers who have adopted data connections, such as TikTok's Events API, it's very similar to other platforms' Conversions API. We've seen that performance really pull through. And what I mean by that is, we've seen lifts in ROAS, significant decreases in CPAs, even cart abandonment rates go down significantly. I've also seen other advertisers that have adopted data connections to send over granular attributes such as brand level, product level, SKU level attributes to help with granular reporting. This is a common use case for retail media networks. And this is where Imperity really comes in. they're a wonderful partner that has really helped set up these data connections with channels like TikTok. Through Amparity, you can easily send online and offline conversion events to allow for you to run, better, smarter, optimized media campaigns on TikTok. And they make it really easy too. What used to take, weeks at least, where you have to ask your development team to code something to send over events, is just, a few button clicks and it's already set up.
Can I add something?
Please do.
Okay. You said something really important. Data drives performance. And look, I've been in measurement a long time, but let me be really blunt about this. Measurement does not make things happen. Measurement shines the light on what did happen. So yes, you need it. Data is really important, but data is going to be used in other ways to specifically drive performance. There are applications that you can leverage on data, first-party data that you have, on how to microsegment, on how to target, on how to build hyper-personalized creative that actually drives performance. So measurement is critical, it's important, I'm a nerd about it, but there's an opportunity to do even more in terms of the driving performance, and that's what Adora is about. It's how do you start with the data, how do you deliver great creative at scale very quickly, how do you find the right user at the right time, and then attribute all those actions to the thing that matters most, your business sales, from the data. So I think this is going to evolve much more than just measurement. There's a full circle that Amparity enables, and I'm excited to be one of the many applications we see rise out of that.
I actually want to double down on that because Matt and I focused on Events API, which is a lot of integrations to those downstream providers. It's great to be able to have that crosswalk, but I think we talked about before the fact that first-party data asset opens up some opportunities from a measurement perspective that go beyond sharing data with your partners and really bring all of that kind of in-house and start to own that. So what role does something like Amparity, that unified profile asset, what role does that play in that vision, and what are the opportunities you're seeing kind of emerging?
I mean, I've been very comfortable in my life working in FANG, and Amparity's made my dream possible. The point of Adora would not exist unless something like Amparity happened. So for me, what's exciting is the next 10 years are going to be about, great, we have digital gold. We can't give it away freely any longer. What can we do with it? Well, first thing you got to do is organize it. Good job, Amparity. But the second thing is, how do we unlock all of these capabilities? There's no point in giving it away because you know how valuable it is. So now it's the job of every large brand and advertiser to make it come to life for the thing that matters the most. Again, not attention, not clicks, but actually driving sales. And I think that's going to become the future. It's going to become the standard. And if you've already had a head start with Amparity, you've been doing the legwork up until now, you're going to be way ahead of the competition. The key is, what do you do with that data? And that's what I'm excited about for Adora.
Great. So we've kind of been living in the abstract here. I'm going to get us a little down into the weeds because I think there's some folks here probably thinking, all right, so what do I measure in the first place, right? We have a new world of measurement. We need new KPIs. So what are we thinking about to get away from clicks? So what are the KPIs people should be focused on? Ben, maybe can kind of get us started.
Yeah, I mean, I think from our perspective, right, the gold standard is figuring out, can you expose someone to an ad and figure out how that got to an actual sale, right? So that's where we want to be. I think the ecosystem has been trained to look at reach and efficiency and immediate clicks, and that's just at the end of the day, not the KPIs that someone like a retailer like us is focused on. We want to drive sales. So I think it's naive to also say that we're the only platform that's going to drive sales. We have to look at the mix across the board, and we're partners with TikTok, we're partners with all these different ad platforms to help our media network, but understanding how it all fits together, but driving towards that end goal of driving a sale is really, really important. So the gold standard is understanding how you go from awareness consideration to actual sale, but how does that touch point go from different person in store at Dick's Sporting Goods or on Game Changer, and then eventually get to a sale is what we're trying to really think about hard over here.
Marco, thoughts?
Which hot take to go with? No, I think that's exactly right. I think sales is going to be the thing because it's the thing that drives your business, right? You're not advertising because it's fun. You're advertising because you want to drive sales. The one thing I would add, though, is there's an absolute amazing opportunity ahead to figure out what's working and what's not. I think we're all conditioned. Here's 50% of my budget, big walled garden. Here's 40% of my budget, big walled garden. And the real problem is if you look at ROAS and CAC, you don't get to control that. They tell you what it is. You're using AutoBid. You're using all these techniques that you've been trained on. And I'm old enough to remember when it wasn't click-through rate, it was GRP, and it was reach and frequency, and it was people-based identity, and then it was incrementality. And these are just upper funnel metrics that, again, really important to understand to figure out what's working. But if it's not driving sales, did it actually work? And to me, that's going to become the premise and the focus. And again, this is the advantage of Imperity. You have it organized, you have it in the right place. Now, how do you want to leverage it? Go drive performance, measure, attribute it to your own sales, and then you can look your constituents in the eye and say, I know it's actually working. Here's the proof in the business.
Matt, how's this netting out at TikTok from a KPI perspective? Where are you seeing the focus shift, and what are you seeing kind of opportunities on the horizon?
Yeah, I mean, I think these two gentlemen put it pretty nicely, especially for retailers. Sales at the end of the day is, really important. But when I get asked the KPI question, I'm always, it really depends, because every advertiser has different objectives, and even within the same advertiser, they have different types of campaigns that touch different parts of the funnel. So rather than pushing any single KPI, I just tell my advertisers to think smart and to work with a measurement framework. The analogy I like to use is you're building a measurement house that's grounded in 3 core pillars, which is attribution, experimentation, and then a little bit of modeling just to future-proof yourself. From an attribution perspective, this is where partners like Imperity really help you get the most out of your first-party data. You want to set up those connections and make sure there's like a real-time feedback loop to see whether or not your ads are actually driving those sales. The second bit, the walls of that measurement house, would be experimentation. So there's a lot of tools out there. You don't have to use a platform's tools, even though I am a platform. I encourage everybody to play around with experimentation. There's A/B testing you can do, incrementality to see whether or not your ads are actually driving sales. And then lastly, you want to experiment with modeling. Back in the day, a lot of CPG brands relied on media mix modeling because they didn't actually own their data. Nowadays, it's very much different. Everybody is starting to realize data is important, but media mix modeling does fill those gaps where you might not have the most accurate data, and it's kind of having a renaissance moment. So you'll want all 3 for your measurement house, and you want to see agreement among attribution, experimentation, and some modeling.
Well,
Wait,
yeah, go ahead.
sorry, got to do it. Agreed. The irony of all of that for me, though, is the accurate data sits with the brands in Imperity. So rather than giving it away, lowering its fidelity, minimizing its conversion visibility, I believe personally that yes, the walled gardens and the platforms and the third parties, that's going to be a big part of the ecosystem because we've already built it. But the thing that's been missing is brands being able to use their own data for their own technology to measure for themselves. And to me, the balance of power is going to start to shift to the haves and have-nots. Do you have data? Is it organized? And can you leverage it? Or not? Imperity enables that, and now it's going to be the next wave of ecosystem players that help you actually do those jobs. I think you're going to see a 4th form of measurement beyond the walls, beyond the third party. It's going to be the brand themselves. You should have a point of view of what you think works and what doesn't. And I'm not talking about the analytics on your websites. I'm actually talking about your dollars and cents on your users and the customers. Nobody knows your customer better than you. And that's the thing everybody's been asking for. You have it. Use it.
Just to add, and I totally agree with Marco here. You understand your customer the best as a brand. And I love it when I work with brands that have really robust analytics teams that really know how to think about their data. So don't take my word for it. You understand your data best. There's a lot of measurement tools out there that will give you an unbiased view on performance regardless of channel.
And I did sit them next to each other on purpose. I was kind of hoping maybe we get a little bit of a scrap. But so time flies when you're nerding out. We've only got a few minutes left. We've given everybody in the audience a lot of ideas. Let's talk about how we take those ideas, turn them into action, right? So if somebody walks out of this room, walks up to the Imperity account manager right outside, what is the first step they should take towards doing something new with their first-party data from a measurement perspective and seeing some real results? We'll start with Ben.
Yeah, so start today collecting that first-party data. I would look to your right, left, up, and down and figure out what makes your own data unique. So I'll use an anecdote here about Game Changer. The first thing that we did, we started our ads business about a year ago, was connect our first-party data with Dick's Sporting Goods data. And just looking internally, we found out that the 8 million people that we reach on an annual basis, they spend twice as much at Dick's Sporting Goods than the average customer, right? So just looking at that and understanding that that's a really good touch point, and that can be segmented down into different categories, different brands. We leverage that first-party data, and now we're selling with it. Not selling the data, but using the insights we have to make sure that we can build optimization, measurement tools, and capitalize on this retail media network that we're building really quickly. There's more data than you think under the hood. I would look internally first, and then the next challenge is figuring out what tech, and Parity, is going to help you aggregate that data and make sure that you can use it.
Yeah, that's the magic was within you all along version of the answer.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So there were some more my ideas, mostly not.
I do love that's such a cool insight. You hadn't told me that before, so that's amazing. So, Marco, what's the next step for someone?
I mean, +1, start now. It sounds awkward to say on a measurement panel, but do more than just measurement. Go activate, go figure out how to microsegment, go figure out how to reach, deliver hyper-personalized creative. No creative person knows what's gonna work or not work, right? Let that test run in the wild, but utilize your first-party data to gather as many insights about your customers and go try a bunch of things, then go measure it with your first-party data. Right now we're in stealth, but we have a few customers we're working with at Adora who are really excited about that premise. It starts within Parity, and there's so much more you can start to unlock. So yes, start now, but also go beyond measurement because it's not making stuff happen. It's the thing you do at the front end that actually drives your performance and ROAS for your business.
So Matt, other than advertise a whole bunch on TikTok, what is the next step for somebody that's excited about their conversation today?
I mean, like Marco really touched upon it. I really like this idea of having a test and learn mindset. You're in control of your own data. You're in control of like how you want to activate your media. Go out there, try new things in the wild. You can use platforms tools. You can use other tools to really set up controlled tests to understand what is actually driving impact for your business. And lastly, I firmly believe good measurement is about agreement. Don't just rely on one solution, rely on a whole bunch of solutions and try to see if there's like a common thread there.
Awesome. Well, we're running out of time. I think the theme here is really clear. I think the center of gravity is shifting to the brands, to the owners of the data. The haves and have-nots is a good way to put it. And those of you that already work with Amparity will probably know that we're a really great solution to kind of get that data foundation built up and actually leverage it with these platforms. And those of you who don't work with Amparity already, I'll see you in the hallway. We can talk more. But thanks so much to our panel. This has been a lot of fun. I think we have another session coming up here shortly, but I really appreciate you guys joining us today. Thanks.